Probably not my best buy, but you know what? I got a good deal. So, even came with the hay. Man, this thing's a little rough. A little rough. Hasn't been on the road since '79. Jeez. Some pigeon poo. Oh man. It's a real diamond in the rough here. Whatever, I'll take it. Some hillbilly stuff right here. I got the car in fourth, got the Marble Mystery Oil in the cylinders, the engine's locked up, we're gonna tow it and free it up. This will be hilarious. Let's go for a ride, come on. Go on, go on. There we go. Come on, motor, there she goes. I already freed it up a little bit earlier, but we're gonna tow it around the yard so she'll be able to crank on her own power. This is some hillbilly stuff for sure. Kind of fun though. Oh, we're just dragging. See? It's just dragging, motor's not turning. So what we gotta do, we'll do some more hillbilly stuff. We'll get it going. It's got so much mouse poop in it, I think I'm just gonna steer it here with my foot while we do our hillbilly breaking the motor loose. So he's towing me, the motor ain't moving. Come on girl, you're gonna go. Maybe he'll go in a minute. I think these wheels, oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're just dragging them. This is some real hillbilly stuff. Maybe, if we get lucky, this will break free. It should. Give her a minute. Oh yeah, we broke her free now, look at that. Oh, hell yeah. Oh man, we're redneck though. This is crazy. Alright, now that she's turning, I should be able to turn it over with the starter. And if there's any compression in there, we'll have it running in a minute. This is hilarious. So I checked the electrical connections. I had connection and nothing was happening. So took the pump out. It's pretty cool. I didn't realize that it would be a linear actuator. So it just goes back and forth on this coil here. And what happens is these contactors go up here. Took it apart. Contactors were corroded. So just went ahead and cleaned that up. Gonna go ahead and put this back together, put it back in the car, and we should have fuel up to the carburetors. And I'm gonna replace the points condenser and rotor and cap. We should have ignition. Boom, we're gonna fire this thing up. This is gonna be fun. Alright, time to pump all that old gas out of there. It's not pumping great, but I'm surprised it's liquid gas at all, because most of the time with these old cars, they sit so long that gas is all kind of like a scum in the bottom. It's not even just varnish, it's just really old varnish gas. So we'll empty the tank, throw some new stuff. Alright, so I did a few things to this car, and I really didn't need to dive into this project right away, but I got anxious because, you know, the idea of something sitting around for 41 years and getting it started is exciting. So what we did some kind of redneck stuff. Normally I soak the, you know, if the motor's locked as this one was, I soak the engine with Marble Mystery Oil in the cylinders for like 24 to 48 hours, and then I'll hand crank it over. But the harmonic bouncer on the front, or the actual crankshaft pulley, someone busted the nut off. So I don't know if it was what the story is behind that, but I couldn't get on it. I couldn't get a grip on it. So we ended up doing this little hillbilly. We chained it to the back of my truck and towed it around the yard in fourth gear until it freed up. And it actually ended up going free. We went around a few times around the yard, and the motor spun. I kind of expected that the cylinders would be scored and it wouldn't have compression, but I ended up doing a compression check on it, and all the cylinders had good compression except for cylinder number 4, which still wasn't bad. It's borderline at 80 psi. And you know what? Maybe just breaking that rust-free seated those rings in, maybe they're carbon, but I want to get it hot, run it a little bit, put some additives in it, see what the compression does after the fact. But if we wanted to get real serious, I guess we could do a cylinder leak down test, see if it's leaking past the rings or, you know, through the intake or exhaust valves. We're not going to do that because, you know what, this is like a $200 car and I just want to have it run and move around the yard for right now. I'm not even going to like restore this thing right off the bat, but I'll tell you what we did. Drain the fuel. Redid the fuel pump. The points inside the fuel pump were kind of burned out, the contactors. There's a linear actuator fuel pump that works just like the ones that are off the camshaft with a diaphragm. The diaphragm in there looked good, so I just cleaned it up, put it back in. We're getting fuel, replaced the fuel filter, replaced the fuel lines because they were rotted. Once I got fuel up to the carburetors, the float was leaking on the bottom of here because the O-ring's so old and dried up. We just put a little RTV in there. I was actually surprised these SU rebuild kits are like $130, which seems a little steep. So I'll probably go through here. I'll clean up the float needles and everything and probably make my own gasket, save 130 bucks there. I can go get O-rings anywhere. Put new distributor on it. I put new plugs in it, new wires, new cap, new condenser. I bought a new ignition coil just in case, but this one's actually producing a spark. It's easy enough to go through and test. So we're gonna go ahead and crank this, and we're gonna see if it starts. It'll be the first time in 41 years this thing's starting, but I think she's ready to go. So I'm gonna put a little ether in there. Gotta have a little starting fluid. Crank her over and see what happens here. Carbs need to be tuned, but I think we're burning a couple mice up the exhaust pipe too. Man, this thing actually sounds pretty good. So it's running like a little rough. I'm sure the ignition timing has to be done, but mainly it's these carburetors need to be gone through. I have to hold it open a little bit because I think that the float's sticking on the one on the right. The one that was leaking, maybe the float's sticking on both. Because I think it's flooding out a little bit, so you got to give it some gas. But I'll go through the carbs. It's kind of cool, man. 41 years sitting around in the barn. Thing sounds like a sewing machine. It sounds good. Look at that. Yeah, it's flooding out, but I mean it runs. Yeah, I go wide open on it, and now it's got the gas on the engine. It's starting to run a little better. So I'm going to rebuild these carbs and we'll fire it back up and see where it's at. Maybe I'll bleed the clutch out and drive it around. Pretty cool though, huh?